Hello guys, Tomione here from Coding for Youths, and welcome to my Python tutorial series. In this series, we have been discussing everything about Python, and we started about 17 lessons ago, and we have discussed a lot. In the last lesson, we talked about Python tuples, and this is going to be lesson number 18 or 19. I'm not very sure, but either 18 or 19. Okay, so in this lesson, we'll be talking about Python dictionaries. It's a very special Python data type. But before we dive into what we have today, I just want to remind you that this channel is actually created to encourage you on embarking on your coding journey, whether you're a professional programmer or you're just a newcomer trying to learn how to code. The best way to learn is by practice. As you keep learning, you keep on practicing. It may look seem difficult at the beginning, but then as you keep on practicing, you see that you get used to it, and then you understand it better. Okay, if you encounter any challenge on your path of learning, there are or any difficulties, there are a lot of resources out there online, communities surrounding most of these languages, and that you can have answers to your questions. Okay, so I also want to implore you to subscribe to this channel, like the video, and leave your comments at the comment section. Okay, without any further ado, I would like us to dive right into what we have today. So we'll be discussing about Python dictionaries, and of course, before let me just list out what we'll be talking about. We'll be looking at dictionary itself, how to access the dictionary values, using their keys, and then we'll take a little bit on the comparison between dictionary and list. Of course, dictionaries you access the values by the keys, but in list you access it by the indices or the index. Okay, look at how we can build the different means we can build a dictionary. Talk about the building a dictionary by its constructor, empty dictionary, and then incrementally assign keys and values, and then we'll look at some built-in operators that we have checked. We have looked at, like the identity operator, how we can use that on the dictionary. On the dictionary keys and values. Then we also look at some built-in dictionary methods. Okay, so without any wasting time, let's dive into what we have today. So let's look at a little bit comparison between a dictionary and a list, the characteristics that are similar between them. Now remember that we said in a list that the values of a list are mutable. You can change them, and of course they're also dynamic. It's the same thing with the dictionary. Okay, they are dynamic. In previous versions of Python, from version 6 point something down, the Python lists were ordered, but from 6.3.6 upward, I think the list or the dictionary Python dictionaries are unordered. Okay, now we can nest. Another thing is that we can actually nest a Python dictionary. We can have another dictionary in a dictionary, and another one, and just like that. And a very similar thing in another programming language like JavaScript, that we can say looks like a dictionary is an object. Okay, so we can nest a dictionary. Okay, all right. Now the difference between these two is that list elements are accessed by their position in the list, that is by indexing, while dictionaries are accessed by their keys. Okay, so dictionaries are Python's data structure that are more generally known as associative array. Okay, you have your key and then your value, you know, um, in a pair like that. So for instance, let me just give you an example. Let's say I want to create a dictionary of person. Okay, remember that in Python you don't need to use any special keyword to declare a variable. So we say person, and then a dictionary is actually enclosed in a curly bracket, just like sets that we'll soon get to. So I want to say, let's say first name, and then that's the key. And what separates a key and the value is a column. So you have a column, and then my first name, we say Tom. Okay, and then I have last name, which is, I would say, L name, and then that's the key, and then the value is going to be Nyone. Okay, I also have age. The value. Remember that we said that a list can take any data type, boolean, string, integer, floating, and virtually any data type. The same thing to the values of a dictionary. So we can have a string, an integer here, let's say 34, and then we can have something like let's say vaccinated. That's the key, and the value you can say true, false. Okay, and then maybe I want to add something like location. That's the key, and then I have Nigeria as a value. So I'll enclose that in the closing bracket. So if I print this person type to check the data type, and then I print the person, we'll run this, we have a dictionary. So you can see the class dictionary. Now, if we want to access the value of this dictionary, we can simply say print, and then we say person by using its key. Okay, so we use the key to access the value, and then if we print this, you see we have ton, right? So let me remove this. Okay, if we look at age, we have 34, right? And then if you look at vaccinated, we have false. Okay, so that's one way of creating a dictionary and accessing the values of the dictionary through the keys. Another way we can create a dictionary is by using a dictionary constructor. So we can have a dictionary of items, okay, and then we say dict, that's a constructor, and then from a list we can have a list, and then list of things like you can say fruits, okay, and then here now we are not using because it's a list, you're not going to use a column, and then we have fruits, and enclose them in a parenthesis, and then we have, let's say apple is a fruit, right? And when we close that, that's one member of the dictionary. Through the apple, then we have a comma, and then we have another one. We can have animal, and then comma, and then we say dog, and close that, and then we have place, comma, then we have random, okay, and then enclose this, close that, right? So if we print the type for items, type for items, you see that this also is a dictionary. So it's actually a dictionary also. Okay, if we print the dictionary itself, you see how this is being structured. So you see we have a normal dictionary now, the key, the value, the key, and the value. Okay, we can also define a dictionary by using an assignment operator. Okay, also by um, assignment operator, and then by using a dictionary constructor. So we could have something like let's say countries and their capitals. I'll just say place, and I'll equate this also by using the dictionary constructor. I can have something like UK equates this. That is by assignment. You can see that by assignment, the key, though is a string, we don't need to indicate. Okay. By assignment, we can say this is the capital of UK is London, right? London, yes. Okay. And then we can have another one, US, and then Washington, DC, and then we can have Ghana. By assignment operator, we don't need to indicate the key, whether it's string or not. Accra, you can say Nigeria, then Abuja. Okay, so if you print type of place, you see that this also is a dictionary, right? This is also a dictionary, right? And then you can get the key value of the dictionary by its key. So if we say UK and then we run this place. Okay, let me check this. Okay, so we have UK, so we have London, right? So that's one way of defining the dictionary. And then lastly, another way you can define a dictionary is by incrementally assigning the keys and values to a dictionary. By defining, first of all, you can define an empty dictionary, just like the places. You can say place 2 and just say this is equal to a dictionary, an empty dictionary. And of course, if you print this to check the type, place 2, you also see that this is a dictionary, right? Then we can now come here and we can say place 2, we can now assign, let's say Ethiopia, you can say this is Addis Ababa, okay, and we can say place 2, we can say China, is Beijing, let's spell that correctly, and we can say place 2, and Germany, and Berlin, right? Okay, so if we print place 2, this is also a dictionary. So you can see the four methods of defining a dictionary. It's either by defining dictionary explicitly or implicitly, or you use a dictionary constructor, by using a list, separated like this in a parenthesis, or by using an assignment operator, or also by using, you know, defining an empty dictionary and then assigning values by incrementation like this. Okay, so these are the means, different means we can define a dictionary. Okay, so now let's talk about assessing the values of a dictionary. Okay, all right. So we said that in dictionary you don't assess by in the index like in list, but rather we assess by the keys. Okay, so we have seen an example. Now, what if we okay? Let me just so we have which one will I use now? Okay, let's say dictionary of person. Right, let me try the person. So let's say we want to access a key, a value that doesn't exist. Okay, of course we are going to have, let's say, middle name in person. We have an error. Okay, we have an error. We have key error because the key name does not exist. Okay, so we have there's an exception that is thrown that says the dictionary, excuse me, doesn't have the key. Name, okay, is just similar to where you want to, access the index that doesn't exist in a list. Okay, now we can actually add that, we can actually add the name to this dictionary by simply assigning, and just come here and say um, Johnson, like that. And then if we try to print again the person name, like that, at this time we'll not have any error again. We'll have person name is supposed to be middle name. We'll have name, and then we run this, we have Johnson. Okay, so that's a way of assigning or incrementing a dictionary. Okay, so you can simply assign value by assessing the key by using the key. Okay, if the key doesn't exist, you can use that to assign. Now we can use we can delete also from a dictionary. So we say dictionary is mutable. We can equally delete from a dictionary. Uh, to delete from a dictionary, we use the keyword D or delete. So we can come here and just use the keyword, and then want to delete this value from a dictionary. And if we try to print again, have value person name, of course it doesn't exist anymore. So we have an exception, we have an error. Okay, so it doesn't exist anymore because it has been deleted. Now if we if we comment that out and print, you have Johnson again. So that is a way you can delete, a member of a dictionary. You can equally update. For instance, we come here and then we change the M name to something. Let's say we say whiskey, and then we try to print it again. We print this again. You see now, yeah, it has updated to, because the program is running from top to bottom. That's why I still have the Johnson printed. But the new value now for the key m name is whiskey, okay, which is the final value. So we've talked about updating, we've talked about deleting a dictionary. Now let's talk about uh, uh, some built-in functions or methods, building methods. But before that, let's talk about some built-in operators that you can use it to, in the dictionary. For instance, we can check if a key exists in a dictionary, right? We can check if a key exists in a dictionary. So we can use the identity operator. We can say um, mname in the dictionary person. Let me just print this and see the answer will be okay. Let me print this. Of course, it's true because the key mname is in person. Okay, if you do something like let me say grade, which is not in person, we have false, right? Because it doesn't exist in person. Okay, so let's briefly look at some dictionaries built-in function. And the first one we're going to look at is the clear. Clear is used to empty a dictionary of its keys and its values. So if we, for instance, the dictionary person, if we come here and say person dot clear. Okay, now remember that methods have parentheses, to tell you that it's actually built a method. Okay, now if we try to print this dictionary now, the dictionary person, we have an empty dictionary. So you can see here we have an empty dictionary. Let me just remove all the print statements I've used earlier, so I can comment this out. And also this. Okay, so now the dictionary is empty because we have cleared the dictionary. If we comment this out and print, we have all the the values of the dictionary. Okay, so to clear dictionary, you use the built-in method clear to empty a dictionary. Now let's talk about the get. It actually returns a value for a key if it exists in the dictionary. So for instance, let's say we have this dictionary of person now, and then we want to get, so I'm going to comment this out. So let me just say I want to get the value for, I want to get the value is actually built-in method, so we'll say get, and then I want to get the value for fname, the key like that, and then if we run this, you see that tone is printed because is the get is actually similar to accessing a dictionary by its key. Okay, so but then you can just get maybe vaccinated or age like that, and so that's what the get does. Okay, now if the key is not found and the we can use an optional argument, okay, to return a known instead of to return a value. Okay, so if the key is not found and there is an optional default argument that is specified. That value is returned instead of a known. Okay. Uh, Say for instance, we want to get, let me just say G, and if you print, you see none is returned to tell you that the key does not exist. Okay. Now let's talk about, we can actually use an optional, default value, because it's the get actually accept two arguments. So let's say that is not found. We can now specify a value to say, okay, return -1 if the value is not found. So you see -1 is returned. So that's that about gets. Now another one we'll talk about is items. Items actually returns items. The method items actually returns a list of key value pairs in the dictionary. So it returns a list of tuples that contain the key value pairs. Okay, so if you want to get it, if you want to get a tuple from a dictionary, you use the items. So for instance, I'll come here, I'll use the items, and then no arguments. Okay, so if I print this of a dictionary, I have a list of tuples. Okay, so you can see the dict items, okay, is being returned. I believe you understand. So we have a list of tuples instead of a dictionary. All right, so and this is actually dict items. So we can actually if you say the item return a list of tuples, and the first item in each tuple is a key, and the second item is the key's value. So we can actually do something like we'll come here and we say, we can say lists, okay, items, and then if we print this, we have a list of tuple like this. Okay, the first one will return an object of the dict item, but this is going to return a list of tuples. Okay, and then we can access it using the index. Okay, for instance, we can come here now and access it by access the key value by their index. For instance, we want to access the second item. You see we have last name, like that. Okay, so we can equally, let's say we want to access the first item. We have first name. Okay, so now let's talk about the method keys. And the keys actually return a list of keys in the dictionary, just like the items. Okay, so if you come here and say keys like this, and then we print. Okay, so we have the list. Okay, we have the list of the keys. You can see that the values are not printed, they're just the keys. You have the first name, the last name, the age vaccinated, and okay, so the keys returns a list of all the keys in the dictionary. Okay, so if you want to get all the keys in the dictionary, you use keys. If you want to get all the values, then we're going to be having another method called values. So the values will return the list of all the values in the dictionary. So you want to get all the values, you use the values. If you want to get all the keys, you use the keys methods. Okay, so let's talk about how to remove a key from a dictionary. Okay, if the key is actually present, we can use a pop to remove the key from the dictionary. So we can come here, sorry, because I was having a list now. Of course, this is actually an object, so I can use pop, okay, to remove a particular um, a key from a dictionary. Okay, so if I say pop, first name, the first name will be removed. Let me remove some of this. This will be removed from the dictionary. Okay, so the first name will be removed from the dictionary. Okay, so if I come down here, print the dictionary person again, you can see that the first name is no longer there. Vaccinated. Okay, this was supposed to be spelled double C. My bad. Okay, so use pop to remove, you know, um, a key from a dictionary. Okay, and pop item, we actually use pop item to remove a key value pair from the dictionary. Okay, so if we come here and say pop item, we say pop item like this. Um, it doesn't have any arguments. If we print the person, if we see it actually removes the last item. It removes the last item from the dictionary. Okay, so lastly, before we end this class, which has taken a longer time, we can actually update the dictionary. If you have two dictionaries, you can combine them together, using the updates. Okay, so you have let's say we want to join these two dictionaries. We have the dictionary of items. Uh, so we can come down here and say updates, and then in the parenthesis we put the second dictionary. So if we print the dictionary of person now, we have the combination of both the person dictionary and then the items dictionary. Okay, so thank you guys for your time and spending this time with me. um please leave your comment in the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you guys in another lesson.